In today's class, we are going to discuss about configuration management. First, we'll understand what is configuration management. So, what is configuration management? Configuration management is a process for maintaining computer systems, servers, and software in a desired consistent state. The funda of using configuration management is we should maintain our systems consistent and desired level. I'm going to give examples for this one in the later of this session. For now, you just think that we have a target system and the target system should be like this. That is your goal. In that case, we are going to tell to our configuration management system that, okay, keep this system at this level or keep the target servers, list of the target servers at this so and so operating system level. So these kind of commands or these kind of instructions we can give it to the configuration management, and it is going to fulfill our requirement. And it's a way to make sure that a system performs as expected to as changes are made over the time. So whenever we have any changes, we can apply those changes to the system, and system should be performing as expected. If it is not performing as expected, again we can tell to configuration management system and it is going to do it for. Now, why we are using configuration management? What is the purpose of using configuration management? So we are going to update our configurations by using the configuration management. Let's take an example that we have updated sshd underscore config file sometime back to enable the user-based authentication. So our httpd.conf file or else some other configuration files, if you want to update, it is a good way to use configuration management rather than doing it manually. Next, provisioning. Provisioning means we can create new resources. New resources, nothing but it may be a VM, virtual machine, or it may be a disk, it may be a some other IT resource. In our case, we can able to create an AWS server also using by Ansible, sorry, using configuration management. Okay, so provisioning also a another option to use the configuration management. Next, application deployment. This is the one more advantage of using configuration management. So we can deploy our application by using configuration management. So why it is fitting for DevOps processes? This is the advantage. Sorry, this is the future that we can take the applications which are built by our Jenkins and we can deploy it on target system by using configuration management. Next, orchestration. Orchestration is the option of maintaining all the environment consistency. Or let's take an example that you have 100 systems in your project for your client. You want to maintain all systems at the same operating system level. Let's take an example that recently the Linux has released the latest version operating system. You want to install that one on all the systems. Then you can tell to your configuration management, it is going to take care of that. At last, we have uptime and site reliability. So the major problem in the real world when it occurs is whenever you are doing changes. Changes are causing for a lot of outages. Okay, that is the statistics. 70% of the outages happens due to the changes. Either it could be a human error or it could be something else, but 70% of the outages causes by the change. Remaining 30% maybe it is either uh, hardware issue or some bugs or application related issues, maybe performance issues, but 70% it is causing due to changes. So if you are doing changes manually, there is a um, more chances that it may what I can say deviate from the actual work. But if you are having the uh, configuration management, you will have the list of the instructions. It is going to execute the list of the instructions. If the instructions are working, well and good. Not working, revert it. So like that, we can do the changes. So whenever we are using the configuration management, we can reduce the outages which happens due to the changes. We can reduce the outages which is caused by the changes. So due to that, it is going to increase the uptime and site reliability, the trust on the that particular application or that particular app increases. Apart from this, we can able to quickly recover our systems in case something goes wrong. Let's take an example that we have configured by using we have configured Jenkins by using configuration management. All of a sudden, your Jenkins server went down. If it is configured with the and sorry, all of a sudden your Jenkins server went down and you could not able to bring it up. If it is part of your configuration management, then it is quite easy for you to set up a new Jenkins system with all the configurations within minutes. We are going to see that one in the later classes. Okay, so this kind of advantages we have if we are using configuration management systems. Now, what are the configuration management tools are available in the market? Okay, so we are talking about configuration management can do all this stuff. Then what is the products? Okay, as of now I just said that okay, by using car you will have this option, this facility, that facility. Using a car, what is the advantages? Now what are the brands are available? Similar way, in configuration management also there are different uh, tools are available. You can choose any tool. It's purely depends upon project necessity, but we are going to see what and all products are there. The one of the product is Chef. Okay, Chef is the one of the configuration management tool. Next Ansible, next Salt Stack, Puppet. So I just listed out only four configuration management tools. Apart from this, we have few other, but among these, sorry, these are the few of the configuration management systems which are used by the industry. Earlier, we could see that Puppet is mostly used configuration management tool, but due to the what I can say advantages of using Ansible, so now industry is more using Ansible. Industry is more using Ansible. So even in our classes, we are going to discuss about Ansible, how we can use Ansible as a configuration management system as well as a deployment tool. I said that configuration management tool also useful for application deployment. So we are going to deploy using Ansible for the deployment as well. Now let's discuss little more about how the configuration management works. Let's take an example that even we have deployed our test web app application on Tomcat server. Okay, if you do remember, in our previous classes, we have set up a Tomcat system. Sorry. So we have set up a Tomcat system. Then on top of that one, we have deployed a WAR file. So for the deployment of WAR file, we have used Jenkins. Okay, and if you ask Jenkins to set up Tomcat system, it cannot able to do. I don't say that it is not achievable. It is achievable if you write the shell scripts, and you need to give the shell scripts in the Jenkins. But it is not meant for that. Jenkins is meant for to build the your source code. So now we can use configuration management. I mean to say Ansible to set up our Tomcat system, even though if it is empty, if Tomcat is not installed, just install it and set up everything and take the WAR file and deploy it on the server. Take the WAR file and deploy it on the server. So that both instructions you can give it to your Ansible. So setting up Tomcat server is a configuration management job, and deploying a var file, I mean to say artifacts on the target system is the deployment tool activity. So Ansible can able to efficiently manage both the jobs without any issues. Okay, that's the reason we are going to use Ansible as a configuration management tool. Now, why Ansible became so much popular? Okay, why can't any what I can say? Yeah, I cannot compare with others, but why it became a more popular configuration management tool? The first advantage for this one is it is currently owned by Red Hat. Okay, as you know, Red Hat have the wide range of market already. They have operating system and few other products. Those are already used by industry, and now the Ansible is owned by Red Hat, so they are efficiently able to promote it. Okay, but we are going to see few other options why we are using Ansible more. Before discussing about that one, let's see what we are going to discuss uh, in the Ansible in today's class. Okay, first we are discussing about introduction, what and why Ansible and how Ansible works, and prerequisites to start. Okay, then we are going to prepare Ansible lab environment, Ansible setup, and install Ansible. Okay, these are the activities we are going to do in today's class. Managed nodes may not be possible, but we are going to do still installation of Ansible. These all are we are going to cover in later classes. Let me quickly skip this one. Okay, so now what is Ansible? Okay, Ansible is okay radically simple open source IT automation engine. Okay, so it is a simple IT automation engine. It is going to automate your IT related work. Now, what kind of work it majorly deals? It deals infrastructure as a code. Whether you heard about this term or not, but the major purpose of configuration management is infrastructure as a code. How we can able to achieve it? Assume that you want to provision a new system and you want to do some configurations and then install application. Rather than doing all these steps manually, we can convert into a script all these steps, and whenever we execute the script is going to provision a new system, install all prerequisites, deploy the application. Okay, it can able to do that one. So that is the major advantage of using the configuration, sorry, yeah, Ansible. Okay, so as I said, the Ansible features configuration management, provisioning, application deployment, and orchestration. So these are the options. Now, why Ansible is mostly used configuration management system? So the first advantage is very simple. It is very simple. It is written in Python. This application or tool written in Python. Okay, and it is very easy to use. And the playbooks or code what we written over here is the YAML format. Okay, YAML format is very simple to understand. There are very few syntaxes to know. If you know that one, it is like writing an what I can say, your message as a in the English. That's it. So it is quite easy for you to write as well as understand. So human readable and no specific code skills. You don't require any prerequisites to write this scripting, and the tasks executed in order. So in order, nothing but if you take any programming languages like Java, C, C, PP, there is a functions. Okay, functions is a piece of code which will get executed whenever you call that function. So we split our code into functions. Okay, if somebody are there, somebody are developers over here, they can able to understand. Otherwise, so functions they use, and your code execution will be jumping here and there. You don't know uh, how the what I can say it is executing. You need to check it out your controller how it is going. But in Ansible, it is execute in sequence format. Nothing but line 1, line 2, line 3. There is no shifting of your controller from line 1 to line 10. It is going to execute in the sequence. Next, powerful. It is so powerful. Okay, why it is powerful? Because we are going to use it as a configuration management, application deployment, and also provisioning. Okay, so that is the reason a single tool can able to achieve multiple activities and as well as orchestration. Next, agentless. Okay, this is one of the most advantage I can say for Ansible is it is agentless. Whenever I say agentless, it doesn't mean that it doesn't use any agent. It uses the agent, but in other configuration management tools, what we need to do is let's take an example that we have 100 systems and one configuration management system to manage these 100 systems. So now we need to install agent to all the clients, 100 systems, to make as a slaves to this particular configuration management system. I will explain that with the image. Now you may not understand, but think uh, just think that it is agentless. Why? Because it uses OpenSSH. So OpenSSH is the default uh, agent in our Linux system. Even to connect to our system, we are using SSH, right? So that is OpenSSH. So without that, your Linux system doesn't run. Maybe you can do the telnet, but it is not secure way. The secure way is to connect through SSH. So same port number and same agent it is going to use to manage your client system. So additional agent doesn't required on your all the client systems. Next, it is secure. Anyway, SSH is secure. That is the reason even to log into our systems, we are using SSH. Okay. So these are the options or features made Ansible is the mostly used configuration management system in the market at this moment. Okay. Apart from this, it is efficient. Okay. The resources which it is consuming is going to very less. Okay. It doesn't require much resources. And open source, this is the one more advantage. You can, if you have a Linux system, you can install. It is what I can say Ansible without any issues. It is a open source and flexible. Okay, it can manage different operating systems, like you can manage with Windows, Mac, Linux. Okay, any of the operating systems you can use, and also you can customize your Ansible playbooks or modules. So these are the advantages, but Ansible configuration management master node must be a Linux system. Nothing but you cannot install Ansible on Windows system. You should install only on Linux system. So let's take how Ansible does work. Okay, this is what I was talking. So this is control node. Wherever we install Ansible, that we call it as a control node. And from control node we are going to give instructions to our nodes, nothing but the systems which are managed by your Ansible control node. Okay, either sometimes I may pronounce it master, either master or control node. Control node is the actual what I can say name given by Ansible, so we should call it as a control node. So control node manages all the nodes. Okay, and these nodes we call it as a managed nodes, nothing but which are managed by your control system. Those nodes we call it as a managed nodes. So node 1, node 2, node 3, like this we have hundreds of systems in our environment, and control node can able to communicate with these systems through the SSH. Through SSH it is going to communicate. We don't require any additional agent to communicate with your node. But only thing is we need to tell to our node that okay, this is the control node. This is the control node that we need to tell. We need to tell to that one. We should enable the passwordless authentication. Okay, passwordless authentication. If you do remember, we have discussed it some time back. how we are using our EC2 user key, right? Similar keys we need to generate and push it into all the client systems. If we push it into all the managed nodes, it means that your Ansible can able to communicate with your nodes. Okay, but anyway, we are going to see this one practically, but for now, just think that your control node is going to manage your managed nodes through the SSH port. Okay, now we are going to see what are the components of control node. Okay, majorly in Ansible we have inventory. Okay, inventory is a uh, list of the systems which are managed by your Ansible control node. So your Ansible control node want to manage 100 systems. These 100 systems information should be available in the inventory. Otherwise, it cannot able to manage it. So the system should be listed out in the inventory. Otherwise, Ansible cannot able to manage it. Next, playbooks. So playbooks are the scripts which where we can give instructions. So in the playbook we are going to give instructions that okay, go and install Tomcat, go and upgrade this system, or go and install Git, go and update this particular file. Okay, these kind of instructions we can give in the in a file. That file we call it as a playbook. Okay, next, modules. So modules are something like a predefined libraries. Okay, so if you do remember again, whenever we are using some programming languages, we are going to import some of the libraries, right? Okay, so those libraries will have additional features. If I use that library, I need not to write a heavy line of code which is already developed, and also you are going to import that feature. Similar way, we have hundreds of modules in Ansible, so we can use our modules in the playbooks to write our playbooks just to give instructions. Okay, so most of the modules are predefined modules, and most of the cases we can use the modules which are available. Okay, I'm going to repeat once again. So modules are something like a libraries. Okay, so rather than if we do remember, if somebody written C language, we are going to call std in, std out. Okay, so which means to print your output or to read out input, you need those libraries. Otherwise, you cannot able to read it. So it makes our work easier. Similar way, Ansible have some modules, hundreds of modules, I can say. Most of the cases we are going to use these modules in our playbooks to write our scripts, and I mean to say YAML scripts. And sometimes you may need to define the custom modules, but custom modules we rarely use. But to write custom modules, again you need the Python programming language. Okay, so that is the reason we cannot able to touch the customized modules, but most of the cases our work is fulfilled with the predefined modules. We are going to see these again with the examples. There you will get more clarity, but the major components in our control node is inventory, playbooks, and modules. Okay, we are working with these three all the time throughout our Ansible training. Okay, next, Ansible terminology. Okay, I hope today is little lengthy theoretical classes, but we are what I can say focusing little bit on the infrastructure side. So that is the reason I would like to take little more time, but all this is already what I can say available in my Ansible course. At the end of this today's session, I'm going to give free coupons for that. Maybe you can use that one. Okay, now Ansible terminology. So first, control node. As I said, control node is any mission with Ansible installed. Wherever we install Ansible, that we call it as a control node. Next, managed nodes. Managed nodes nothing but the network devices or servers you managed with Ansible. So through the Ansible, whatever we are managing, those we call it as a managed nodes. Next, inventory. The list of the managed nodes. An inventory file is also something called as a host file. Either host file or inventory, we call it as a what I can say. Yep, either way we can call, and it will have the list of managed nodes. So whatever managed nodes managed by Ansible, all those systems information is listed out in the inventory. Next, modules. So the unit of code Ansible executes. Okay, so it is a Ansible executable code kind of thing. Each module have the particular functionality. If we use that module, we are going to get some feature. Just a quick example. Assume that I want to copy a file from my Ansible system to another location. Then I can use a module called copy. Okay, so copy is one of the module which is comes with Ansible. So it's like a one of the command. Even if you do a, if we compare with our Linux, ls is a command, right? Whenever we execute ls, it is going to display what is there in our current directory. But ls is not just a command. If you go your USR bin, and there if you see ls file, it is a code. If you open, there is a file called ls. If you open that code, of course Linux is defined in C language. You can see the C language code. Means whenever somebody executes, what this ls should do, those instructions it has given. So it will go to the hardware level and pull up the whatever files are there and displays over there. But anyway, but we treat it as a command. Similar way, modules will help us to do the copy activity. But in the copy module, whenever we are using, in the background the copy module is written in Python. So they have written a functionality how the copy module does work. Okay, next, tasks. Okay, so tasks are the what I can say, part of your playbook, the unit of action in Ansible. Just now I told you that copy, I want to copy a file. So copying a file is a task. Okay, next to playbooks. Playbooks is ordered list of tasks. We can put our task in a playbook and we can execute it. Okay, so playbook will have the instructions like where to execute, how to execute, all this information is there. But a task will have the only information what to do. So these are the terminologies you should know. Sorry, these are the terminologies you should know in Ansible. Most of the cases we are going to use these terminologies. Next, Ansible lab setup. So this is how we are going to set it up. As I said, Ansible can able to manage either Windows, Linux, or Mac, any OS. But in our case, what we are doing, rather than going with different operating systems, we will go with the different flavors of Linux operating systems. That is RHEL, Amazon Linux, and Ubuntu Linux. And we are going to manage three kind of different systems with the Ansible. And while executing on different operating systems, I mean to say flavors of Linux, the playbook or tasks may change. Okay, which we are going to see that in our labs. So this is how we need to set up our environment, and we are going to set up this at the by end of this Ansible training, and we can able to manage all these systems efficiently. Okay, next we are going to set up Ansible. So to set up Ansible, it is quite simple. We need a control node. Okay, this is we are going to discuss later. Okay, yep. So to set up Ansible control node, we are going to follow the instructions which we are going to discuss over here. That is, first we need to set up an EC2 instance, then set up host name. Okay, it is optional, but it is a best practice to set up host name, and create ANS admin user. We need to create a dedicated user for Ansible because this user is going to useful to manage our target systems. Next, add user to sudoers file. So whatever user we have created, that user we need to add to sudoers file. Then generate SSH keys. So we should generate SSH keys because Ansible works with the passwordless authentication. and enable password based login. Why? Because we want to copy these keys onto the target system. For that purpose, we need uh, password based login. If without password based login also we can do, but I don't want to get you guys confused. So we are going to enable password based authentication. Then once this is done, we are going to install Ansible. Okay, so these are the instructions we should follow to set up Ansible. These are the prerequisites, I can say. Once this is done, we are going to install Ansible. Okay, before setting up Ansible, any questions? Okay, let's continue. So as I have listed out the instructions, first thing is we need to launch an EC2 instance. So launching an EC2 instance, this is for Ansible this time. So I'm going with the Amazon Linux 2. So in this system, I'm going to install Ansible. Even you can choose the Red Hat as well. There is no issue, or SUSE or Ubuntu. I'm going with the Amazon Linux, and I'm going with the T2 Micro. Free tier EC2 instance is fine because it is we are managing very limited servers. We don't require a lot of resources, and we are going with the default options. Name, Ansible server I'm giving, and select security group. For this one, we don't need to use any additional port number, so we can use the our default DevOps, right? So default, even we don't require 8082 or 8080 or 80 all this. Okay, just 22 would be fine, but we are using a common security group for our all labs, so let it be. But in real-time world, we don't use the same security group for all the systems because enabling the additional ports is always a problem. That's the reason we are going to enable only the required ports at the security group level. I'm using the existing key pair. I have launched my EC2 instance. So once we have launched our EC2 instance, let's connect to this system. So IP address followed by our key pair, DevOps key, right? I think still it is coming up. Okay, it could not able to connect. You can see here, press R to restart the session. Just if I click on R, yes, I could able to log in because it came up. So this is my Ansible server. Let's become a root. As I said, first we are going to change our host name. So vi/etc host name. I'm going to name it as a managed, not managed, control, right? Control node. Okay. So I'm naming it as a control node. Next thing is we should create an user. I'm going to create a user called ANS admin. So user add ANS admin and set up the password ANS admin. So ABC123 I'm giving ABC123. So I have set up the password for my user. Next thing is whenever you create a user, by default the user doesn't have root privileges. User doesn't have root privileges. But our Ansible system requires a root privileges either in the local system or on the remote system. So for that purpose, we must add this user to sudoers file. Why? Because we are going to install some softwares on the target systems if necessary. So that's the reason we should add this user to sudoers file. Maybe it may not required on the control node, but still it is best practice to add in all the systems sudoers file. So sudoers is a file cat/etc sudoers. Okay, this is the file. So far I haven't discussed about this one, but this is the sudoers file. So sudoers file is a file which will help us to get the additional privileges to our user. Additional privileges to our user. So this will help you to restrict a user to execute particular command. Okay, let's take an example that our Ansible system, sorry, Ansible user don't want to do the what I can say reboot. Then we can add the Ansible user and we can deny that particular command, or else we can Ansible server should do the reboot. Then still we can do that one. Like that, we can either allow the permissions to execute specific commands or deny the execute the commands, sorry, execute specific commands. Either way you can do. Okay, now what I can do, I can edit this file. I can edit this sudoers file. So to edit sudoers file, I'm just clearing this. Actually we opened this file, right? cat/etc sudoers. Okay, okay, this is the file. Usually we are doing vi to edit this file. Okay, any file if we want to edit vi we are doing, but for sudoers file, that is not the process. We need to use the vi sudo. Okay, if you execute this command, it automatically open up the uh, /etc sudoers file in the edited mode, but you must be a root user to edit this file, otherwise you cannot able to edit it. Okay, so vi sudo, and you can add a just an entry that your I just came back or down to this particular file because I need this instruction. So if you give this one, what will happen? Our ANS admin user can execute any command without password. Okay, while executing any root privileged command, it won't ask for password. Okay, that is the meaning of this one. So I'm going to just add, so ANS admin space and this one. Okay, that's it. Now what will happen, our ANS admin can execute any command without any password. It won't ask for password. If it is not there, then it cannot execute admin privileged commands. Okay, so let's save this file. Okay, I have saved this file. Next thing, if I do sudo su, sorry, I want to switch as a ANS admin, su minus ANS admin. Okay, this is how, this is ANS admin. So this is how we can able to switch from root user to ANS admin user. Okay, but before switching, I forgot to enable password based authentication. So that is vi/etc sshd underscore config. Okay, this is the file. In this file we want to enable password based authentication, so just we have to open this in edit mode and give slash. Okay, whenever you give slash over here, and any keyword password, okay, any keyword you are going to give, then this keyword gets searched. Once you have given keyword and give enter, you can see here password authentication is yes. Okay, this is the option we should enable, but currently it is commented out, but password authentication no is enabled. Okay, so we just uncomment this one and comment this one. That's it. If you do this one, the password based authentication is enabled. So from now onwards, we can log in with the password. Okay, if we are logging as a EC2 user, we have loaded key pair, right? But now what we can do, we can set up a password to EC2 minus user, and rather than loading the key pair, we can directly use the password itself. But we are not dealing with the EC2 minus user, we are dealing with the ANS admin. So for ANS admin, we have already set up the password as well. Now if I open the new session, SSH, and the same IP address, let me get it, and I will log in as a ANS admin to this system. And sorry, I no need to load key pair because I want to log in as a user with the password. Now see here, it is asking for password ANS admin, and I know the password of ANS admin. Oops, yep. One last thing I need to do, I have edited this file. I just need to reload the my SSHD configuration. Otherwise, it cannot able to read this configuration. So sudo, anyway, I'm a root. So service SSHD reload. Okay, don't stop it. If you stop it, it may not come up, and currently we have connected with the SSHD service only. If the service goes down, even we will get disconnected and we cannot able to log in, and we need to reboot the server again. Okay, so now I have reloaded. Now let me again press on R. So this time it is asking for username ANS admin, and you can see here it is asking for password. Why? Because we have enabled password based authentication over here. So ABC123 is the password. Yes, I would like to connect, and you can see here I can able to log into the ANS admin, and PWD, if I give my present working directory is /home/ANS admin, and who am I? I am ANS admin. Okay, so this is how you can log in. But if you want to log in from your root user, okay, here we have logged in as a root user, right? Root can switch as any user. So su minus ANS admin, if I give directly, I can switch to the ANS admin. Okay, now if I do who am I ANS admin, and pwd/home ANS admin. All right, so this is how we can switch to our ANS admin. Next thing is we need to generate the SSH keys. We need to generate the SSH keys. So why do we need SSH keys? Because these SSH keys, if I copy into target system, then those servers allow me to without using my password. I don't want to use my password each and every time. Okay, that is the purpose of creating SSH keys. So to generate SSH keys, SSH minus key gen. Okay, SSH minus keygen is the command to execute the keys. Okay, you may ask that we have logged in already as a key. Again, we are creating new key. If you do remember, we have logged in with the key based authentication onto EC2 minus user. If I go and check for EC2 minus user, of course there is a authorized keys. But if I want to log in as a ANS admin doesn't have any keys at this moment. Okay, before executing this one, let me cancel this. And if I do ls minus la, you can see here in the current directory we have only bash files. There is no .ssh. So whenever we execute ssh keygen, it is going to create a .ssh directory in my home directory, and it keeps the public and private keys. Okay, whenever we execute this command, it is going to create two files. That is, one is public key, another one is private key. Private key nothing but the key pair which we are loading while logging into our system. So in our case, what is that DevOps key we are loading, right? So that key is the private key which is there in our local laptop. And public key nothing but if you log into the ANS admin. Okay, let me log in as a ANS admin. Okay, I'm doing an ANS admin user. So SU minus is to become a root user. I have a sudo privileges, so I can become a root as well. And SU minus EC2 minus user. Okay, so again I have switched to EC2 minus user. If you don't want all this confusion, just log in as a EC2 minus user. Okay, so just a duplicate session. So I have logged in as a EC2 minus user. And if I do ls minus la, you can see here .ssh directory is there. If I go inside to .ssh, there is a file called authorized keys. If I open this file, you can see here DevOps key. Okay, this is the DevOps key, public key. This is public key. This is public key. And where is private key? Private key which we have loaded. So if you load the appropriate private key to communicate with public key, then only it works. And this public key is available under EC2 minus user. That's the reason you can log in as a EC2 minus user. If I keep this public key in ANS admin user home directory under .ssh and authorized keys, then from now onwards, by using the DevOps key, you can log into the ANS admin as well. Okay, but ignore it if it is still confusing. But to generate the SSH, you just need to execute this command. Whenever we execute, it is going to generate the SSH keys. Nothing to give any information, just enter. Okay, don't give any keys or any passwords. So once we have executed, if I do ls minus la, you can see here there is a file called .ssh has been created. And if I go to .ssh, and here you can see here id rsa, it is a public private key, and this is the public key. We should not share our private key with anyone. Okay, we should have our with us only. See here, this is private key. And if you see the public key, it is similar to how it is there, right? Even for DevOps key, how it is there, similar way it is there. And it will give the information where you have generated. That's not a problem. Even you can remove this one. If it is, let it be like this also, not an issue. Okay, so this is the public key. Now if I give this public key to you and you kept in your system, then I can able to log in from this system to your system without any issues. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, so whatever prerequisites we require to set up our Ansible system, we have generated everything. Again, I'm going with one more time just to check out we didn't miss any steps. First thing is we have set up an EC2 instance, then set up hostname, then create ANS admin user, add user to sudo's file. Next, generate SSH keys. Next, enable password login. At last, we need to install Ansible. Okay, so far we just set up our environment. Now let's try to install Ansible. Okay, so clear the screen and cd dot dot. Okay, please do remember that you should generate the keys for ANS admin, not for any other user like EC2 or root user. You must generate SSH keys for ANS admin user. All right, next thing is we are going to install Ansible. To install Ansible, we should be root, or else we can install from here itself with the sudo command. Whenever I use sudo, I will become a root, or the commands are executed as a root user. Okay, so sudo yum install Ansible. Okay, sudo yum install Ansible. So whenever we do this command, it is going to install Ansible, but I don't think so it is going to work or not. Earlier, it is working with this command, but as I said, to install Ansible we should have Python, right? So before executing this command, let's see whether Python is installed or not. So to check whether Python is installed or not, Python minus version. Okay, this command is going to give, sorry, minus version, I think. Okay, this command is going to give what is the Python version you have installed in your system. So by default, for Amazon Linux system, you are going to get Python version 2.7. Okay, so let it be 2.7 would be sufficient. If you want to upgrade your Python, still we can do by using yum command, but this is sufficient to install our Ansible. Now let's install Ansible. Sudo yum install Ansible. Okay, sudo yum install Ansible. Let's try it. Okay, so it is saying that Ansible is not there, and use this command. Okay, sudo Amazon Linux extras install Ansible too. If you execute this command, we are going to install Ansible. Okay, so if you do remember, I said that repositories, right? Nothing but by default, all the packages may not be available in a single repository. When we have discussed while we were installing Jenkins, I believe. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to use the extra packages that is already available over here. So we will just execute this command. So it is going to install Ansible. So let's execute it. Yes, I would like to install. You can see here, it is also installing some of the dependencies which are required uh, by Python. And it takes a while to install. See here, first it is installed Python related packages, then Ansible it is installing. Okay, Ansible installation is successful. Once the installation is successful, we just check it out. And sorry, let me clear the screen. Ansible minus version. Okay, so it is going to display our Ansible information. You can see here Ansible 2.9.5 and configuration file is /etc ansible.cfg. So this is the configuration file. It is there. Okay, so the default directory for Ansible is cd/etc ansible. Okay, this is the default directory. So by default, whatever files we have over here, these files we are going to manage it. So in this file we have the ansible.cfg. Sorry, in this directory we have ansible.cfg hosts and roles. Roles we are going to discuss about later, but hosts nothing but inventory file, the servers which are managed by this particular system. That information we need to set up, but so far we don't have any client system, so we no need to update over here yet, but in the later point of time we are going to update it. Okay, so this is how we are going to install Ansible. Installing Ansible is quite simple, but prerequisites we need to have. Okay, and the order may be anything. It doesn't mean that you should follow the same order. You can do in any order, still it is fine, but you must execute all these steps. Okay, except the first step. Of course, we need a server first, right? Okay, so any questions?
Shankar, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Uh, can you please repeat that part of creating a user and then adding it to sudo source file, and then generating the SSH key for that user?
Yeah, I will do that. So to do this once again, I'm going to remove this user. So user del is a
I mean,
command
why
to remove.
why did you add? Why did you first add the user into sudo source file and then generated the SSH key, and then you generate the SSH key for that user, right?
No, that won't possible. Why? Because if you don't create your user, of course you can add it to the sudo file, not a issue. But without user existence, you are adding a user to the sudo file. That is first problem. Second problem is you are asking generating SSH
But
key.
why do you add that user to that file?
Okay, you will understand in the later classes. Let's take an example that now if I go to this, yeah. So now my Ansible system, I am going to manage my target systems. Assume that my ANS admin user is not part of the sudoers file. Let's take an example that he is a normal user. So in Linux, there are two kind of users, that is normal user and administrative user. So whenever I say normal user cannot able to execute the administrative related commands. Let's take an example that just now we have installed Ansible. But whenever I'm installing Ansible, I added the sudo in front of our command. So sudo will work only if the user is added to the sudo file, otherwise sudo doesn't work. So if he is trying to install as a normal user, it doesn't work. Let's quickly what we do. Let me switch back to sudo su minus ans admin. So now ans admin, I'm doing yum install, or let me add a user add test user. You can see here it is saying that permission denied. Nothing but a normal user doesn't have permission. But this ANS admin user is already part of sudoers file, and we have given that he can execute any command. Any command, nothing but user add is a administrative command. He can you execute this command also without any issue, but you should use the sudo in front of your command. So now you can see here the user got created, and if I check it in the /etc password. Okay, here the user is there, but this is not the purpose why we have given the sudoers file. Okay, in the target systems, in going forward, what do we do? The target system is there. In target system, you want to deploy var file. Whenever you want to deploy a var file, first you need to install Tomcat. To install Tomcat, if the ANS admin is a normal user, he cannot able to install it. Even here also we should create a ANS admin user, of course. If he is a normal user, he cannot able to install it. If you want to add a user, he cannot able to do that one. If you want to update some configuration files, he cannot able to do that one. So to avoid all these problems, unnecessary issues, we are going to add our ANS admin user to the sudos file. Does it answers or still have confusion?
No, it answers, yeah.
And you were also asking that why can't we generate SSH keys first? So if you don't create your user, you don't get this particular home directory /home ANS admin. So you must create under this home directory. Your keys must be generated under this home directory. Then only it will be recognized. Otherwise, it won't recognize. So this is dependency, right? To generate keys again. That's the reason. First, we should create a user. Any other questions?
Shankar, you said two things, right? One is we have authorized keys, and then there is something called when we create this SSH key gen, there is something called .pub, which is a public key. What is this difference? Like authorized key and this .pub. If there
Mm.
is .pub, then why do we need authorized keys?
Okay, good question. I need to make highlight that point. Thanks, Happy. So the problem here is, yes, now we have generated keys over here. We have the uh, public key as well as private key in our control node. Now assume that I have a target system. I haven't created yet, but assume that I have created. Now I want to log into this target system without any password. Okay, so then what I can do, I can give this private key, sorry, public key to this system. I will give this public key to this system, but while copying onto this system, our public key, we need to keep it in the authorized file. We should not keep it as a id_rsa.pub. No, we should not keep like that. Once we copied into the target system, we want to keep it under authorized keys. So authorized keys is a file which will authorize your system. So now whenever I use my private key to connect to this system, in this system, it will check in the authorized keys whether this private key and this public key is matching or not. If it is matching, then only this control node user can able to communicate with the target user. Okay, maybe in the local system it is id_rsa pub, but whenever it reaches to the target system, we need to copy it into the authorized keys.
Okay.
Is it
So
clear?
yeah, it is clear.
Mm.
But if there are multiple systems authorizing to the same system, for example, if RHEL managed node
Mm.
has multiple systems connecting to it, will these keys be appended in the same
Yes.
file called authorized keys?
Yes, we need to append to the same file. Let's take an example that ANS admin. Okay, now even I want to log into the ANS admin user by using my EC2 user key pairs. Then what I can do, EC2 minus user public key, I can copy into over here. So I can take this one, sorry. Let's take a reverse way. So I want to log into EC2 minus user account as a ANS admin user. Then what I can do, my ANS admin user keys, where I am, yeah, ls minus LA. So dot SSH id_rsa.pub is there, right? So what I can do, I can take this key and I can just add it to VI authorized keys at the end of this file. So whoever users want to log into this particular user or particular system, those keys keep on appended. Now you can see here, this is to log in as a EC2 minus user, and this is to log in as a ANS admin. So this is how we can keep on increasing our authorized keys file.
Okay, thanks, Shankar. Understood.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, we'll quickly set up our client system as well. Okay, because anyway, I'm giving time for you guys to practice tomorrow. So hope it won't be overloaded, right? Shall I continue or is it overloaded?
Yes, Shankar. No problem.
Yep, yep. So now what I'm going to do is we are going to suffer. Yep. So far what we have done, we have configured our control node. Next, so next we are going to set up our managed node. So to set up our managed node, we need an EC2 instance and set up host name and create ANS admin user and add user to sudoers file. Okay, these are the steps we need to do. Addition to this one, we should enable the password based authentication. So these 5 steps we need to do on the control node. Okay, if you have 100 control nodes, of course we need to do these activities on 100 nodes. Again, the manual steps are executing these on 100 systems is a little tricky. So first time what we can do, we can write a shell script to do this all the activity. Okay, but for our it is a lab, so let's do it manually. Okay, so rather than creating a new server, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my Tomcat server. I'm going to use my Tomcat server as a managed node. Okay, so just I'm going to start it, or else, okay, why should I will create a fresh one? I don't want to you guys to get confused. So launch a new system, and I'm launching the RHEL system. Okay, so as per the lab, first we are going to launch the RHEL system, and name RHEL server. Okay, and here also DevOps security group I'm choosing and launch it. Even I will bring up my Tomcat server also. Just I want to make both the servers as a Ansible client. So fresh installation I'm going to do this over here and over here as well. Right, because both are doesn't have the what I can say ANS admin user, or else what I can say, maybe password based might be enabled, but user is not part of the sudoers file. So let's connect to Tomcat server meantime. So SSH, okay, private key and EC2 minus user and sudo root user. Okay, this is my Tomcat server. Next thing is RHEL server. I'm just going to give the login to this system as well. And EC2 minus user. Okay. Oops. Did I use the wrong key? All right. I have logged into my both the systems which I want to manage as a managed nodes by my Ansible. Okay. So this one and this one. So first thing is we need to set up the host name. So va/etc host name, and just naming it as a Tomcat server. This is Tomcat server, right? And here also I'm going to name it as a va/etc host name RHEL RHEL server. Okay, so we have set up the host name, but if you want to see that it get affected, we just need to restart it quickly. And I'm going to restart it. Init6 is a command to restart. Even my Ansible control this node also, I'm going to restart it. I'm a ANS admin, still I can do the init6 with the sudoers command. Okay, so just restarted. Let me reconnect. Just you need to press R to reconnect it. Still it is coming up. So going forward, what we are going to do is, even we are going to set up our Jenkins server also with Ansible. We don't want to set up our Jenkins server and keep it in our account also. So now it is became a Tomcat server, and it is a RHEL server. Now I would like to create user in the both the systems and add to the sudoers file. So rather than executing independently, we have a option here. You can see here, multi-execute. So whenever you say multi-execute, it is going to open your terminals in the like this. And let me exit from here. To exit, Control Shift Insert. Sorry, this is to insert on all. Where to exit here? Yeah. Exit multi terminal. Let me close this one. This I don't need. Only in these two systems, I just want to execute the commands. So multi execution. So what I can do, user add ANS admin. So in the both the systems, it is creating, and password ANS admin ABC123 ABC123. Okay, I have created user. Now I would like to update this user in the sudoers file. So vi sudo. Okay, and shift G to go to end of the file. I just went to end of the file, and you just observe in this here we can able to execute all the commands as a EC2 minus user. Why? Because he is having this entry. Okay, similar kind of entry we are going to do. So O ANS admin space this one, and here also I need to do okay. Oops, it's not working as expected. Okay, so O ANS admin. Okay, so I have added the same entry in the both the systems and save this file. And also va slash etc ssh and sshd underscore config search for. Okay, in the operating systems it may vary because one is Windows one, sorry. Okay, in both the systems. So here password is enabled. In Tomcat server it is already enabled. Here it is not enabled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to oops. Okay, that's okay. Now both the systems it is enabled, and hash. Oops. Can't I do it only on one system? Okay, so I have commented this one only and save the file and service sshd reload. Fine. So everything is fine. I have set up the user, given the password, and enable the password based authentication. Now everything is set up, and one thing you need to consider, that is you should create what user you created in the master user. Maybe you can create a different user, but this is the best practice. So ANS admin you need to create across the environment and use the same password which you have used in the master. I have used ABC123. Same thing you should use in the clients. Okay, so that you don't have any confusion. Now this is done, and I am going to connect to my Ansible server now. This is my Ansible server, right? This is RHL. This is,
Shankar, I have a question.
go ahead.
Shankar, why there was no entry for EC2 user in that sudoers file for the first session that you showed?
No, in both the systems it is there. I will just show you. Maybe in the some other area in the same file. So
Okay, okay.
I will just show you. grep ec2 minus user / etc sudo file. I'm just searching for whether this user is there in this file or not. Okay, as a ec2 minus user I cannot execute. So sudo, you can see here there is a entry. What this command does do, it is going to check for whether this keyword is there in the file or not. Same thing if I do in the RHL also. This is sorry, this is already RHL in Amazon system, Tomcat system. Why it is not there? Sudo vi, sorry, vi sudo. EC2. Okay, no pattern found. Okay, in Linux, the configuration may, sorry, here, this is Amazon Linux, right? So in Amazon Linux, maybe they have given it as a default activity at the OS level, maybe, okay? But it should be there. Otherwise, he won't get access at all. Wheel root user itself is not there anyway. Yep. But anyway, they might have created at the OS level itself, because this OS is available only on AWS accounts. Sorry, Amazon AWS console. So they might have done, but usually it should be in the sudoers file. Let's not deviate from the actual activity. So let's go, and what we can do. So this is RHL system. This is Tomcat server, and this is control node, nothing but Ansible master node. And on Ansible master node, I'm moving into ANS admin user. Okay, so now I'm a ANS admin user. So far, all the systems are independent. So first system, I'm making it as a ANS admin, or else let me change the settings. Let me, okay, I don't want to do that. Anyway, so in control node, I'm going, sorry, from the control node, I want to manage these two systems. From the control node, I want to manage these two systems. For that, what we should do now is we need to copy our SSH keys onto target servers. We need to copy our SSH keys onto target system. To copy our SSH keys, what we can do is go to .ssh and cat idrsa.pub. So this key, this public key, we can copy it into EC2 minus user account. Sorry, ANS admin user account. I'm logging as ANS admin. So what I have done, okay, I'm explaining one more time because multiple sessions are there. You may get confused. So this is my control node, nothing but Ansible server. These two are managed nodes. In the managed nodes also, I have created ANS admin user. So ANS admin user I have created. So now I want to manage these two systems by using Ansible. For that purpose, I want to copy this key into the target systems. So in the target systems, on which location should I need to copy this key? Can somebody tell me?
Authorized keys.
Yes, we should create here a .ssh directory on the EC2 Ansible home directory. Under .ssh directory, again create a authorized file. There we need to copy. So rather than doing all this manual work, we can do it with a simple way, that is ssh copy -id. Okay, this is the command. Yeah. So ssh copy id and followed by your username. Okay. So followed by your username, that is ansadmin at and the target server name. If I give the target server name as a ANSadmin, so what does it do? Onto the target system. Okay, let me take the IP address of target system. Okay, so if I take the IP address of our RHL server, this is the IP address, and just check, this is the private IP address. So if all the systems are in the same region and yeah, same region and same VPC, anyway we are using the same VPC. So just to avoid the confusion, if all your systems in the same region, you can able to use the private keys rather than the public keys. And using the private keys is more safer than the public keys whenever you are communicating internally. Okay, it's something like that in your family. Okay, you don't want to disclose your identity for other people. So what you can do, you can have the pet names. You usually in our family we will call with the that pet names, right? So similar way, sorry, not pet name, some alias name I can say. So with that names we can call it and it responds. Similar way we can use the private keys. So I'm using the private key. Now, whenever I execute this command, it will ask me the password, that whether you are authorized to copy the keys or not. If you are authorized, these keys get copied. That is the reason we have enabled password-based authentication. Otherwise, it won't ask for the password. Okay, I haven't reloaded the SSH service, right? Did I? Maybe. If I haven't done, it is going to throw an error anyway. So SSH copy ID and onto ANS admin account copy the keys. That is the meaning of this one. And which keys I need to copy? I'm executing this command as a ANS admin from my control node, right? So this user keys will get copied into this user home directory. So yes, I would like to connect to this system, and it is asking, and you can see here attempting to log in with the new keys to filter out so and so is already installed, and one keys remain to be installed. I just want to copy one key. If you are prompted now, it is to install the new keys. So I want to install new keys. That is what it is doing, or this command does do. So now the password is ABC123, right? Because it is common for all the ANS admin users in the across the environment. So if I give this one, you can see here number of keys added. One key has been added. Where it is added? Logged into remote system, on remote system ANS admin user account. Now this is the server we have given, right? So if I give ls-la, you can see here a .ssh directory created. If I go inside to that one, and there is a file called authorized keys, and if I open this file, the key of the public key of our ANS admin user, okay, both are same. So it starts with AA, it starts with AA. Okay, so this is how we can copy. Similar way we need to do copy onto other system as well, Tomcat server as well, right? So IPADDR and remove this IP address and enter. Yes, ABC123, and here also it's copied. So this is how we can copy our keys onto the target system. Once it is successfully copied, what we can do, we can log into this system. We can log into these systems without any password. Now you can see here SSH, ANS admin, and uh, IP address I am giving. Whenever I give the SSH ANS admin IP address, what does it do? It is going to log in without any password. How it is going to log in without any password? Because in my home directory, I have already a public key in my .ssh. In remote server, in my home directory, I have private key, and in the target system user account, we have the public key. So this private key is going to match with this user public key, and it could able to log in without any password. You can see here from control node to I have login to Tomcat server. Now again, if I want to go to control node, just exit so that I can close the connection to this system. Similar way, if I try for other system, SSH, and this is 115, right? So if I do this one, here also I can able to log into the RHL system without any issues. So this will give you a confirmation that your keys is successfully copied. If keys are not successfully copied, sorry, cd dot dot. So if keys are not successfully copied, whenever you execute this SSH command, it is going to fail. It tells that, okay, authorized keys are not, what I can say, matching, or else you don't have permission. Such kind of error you are going to get. Okay, so this is how we can add the manager node with the we can add the manager nodes with the control nodes. So what we have done, okay, this is yet to do. All this stuff we are going to do. So first what we have done the second step, that is copy public SSH keys onto the manager nodes. Okay, this is what we have done, and we need to do the step one also. So add server to inventory file. Now, so far what I did, I just enabled the passwordless authentication. But so far we have done at the operating system level. We haven't touched anything in the Ansible level. Now we need to tell to our Ansible that which servers we need to manage. Okay, which servers we need to manage. We need to tell to Ansible means we need to update our inventory file. Inventory file nothing but hosts file. So the default location of our hosts file is /etc Ansible. Okay, I told you, right? And this directory will get Ansible -- version. If you here you can check it out. So configuration file is so and so. In the same location, you will have the hosts file as well. So the default hosts file is here, and hosts nothing but inventory. Either we can call it as a host file or inventory. So this is the inventory. Here we need to update these two systems information. These two systems information we want to, or we have to update in the hosts file. And before updating, let's see what is there in the hosts file. Vi hosts. You can see here everything is commented out, but they have given the instructions how you can add your inventory. How you can add your inventory. So I would recommend you to just read this one because it is going to useful in the later classes. Anyway, I'm going to explain it in the later classes. For now, I'm going to remove all the data. We don't require this one. Okay, I have executed as a ANS admin, right? So I should add sudo in front of my command. Otherwise, I cannot able to remove. So I have removed everything, and I should just give the IP addresses of these two servers. And another system is this one. So what I have done, I told my Ansible system to that you should manage these two systems. You should manage these two systems. Now now we are going to execute our first Ansible command, just to check out whether my setup is fine or not. Whether my setup is fine or not. So to do that one, Ansible -m ping. Okay, Ansible all -m ping. Okay, Ansible all -m ping. I'm going to explain this command in later sessions, but for now, all Ansible commands starts with Ansible. Every Ansible command starts with Ansible. So whenever you want to execute, whenever you could see Ansible over here, means it is a Ansible command. Next thing is all. So all nothing but it reads this hosts file, and whatever is there in this file, try to connect to all these systems. Try to connect to all these systems. So ping nothing but I mean to say, yes, connect, nothing but try to connect to these systems. Okay, try to connect to these systems. That is the meaning of this command. Ansible, so I'm saying to Ansible that please ping to the all the systems which are there in the hosts file. Please ping to all the systems which are there in the hosts file. So here M, you can see M is a module. Okay, I told you that we are going to use module, right? So ping is a module. Whenever you use ping in the background, it is going to ping the all the systems. So how to ping? This is a program again written in the Python. Okay, that is not our business, of course. So we are just executing this one. Whenever we execute, if it could able to connect to these systems, these two systems, you can see here, if it could able to connect to these two systems, it is going to give such kind of message that, okay, this is success. Okay, connected to this system and it is success, and connected to this system and this is also success. Whenever you ping, it is going to give a response called pong, ping pong, nothing but success. So this is how you can identify that your setup is fine or not. I mean to say, I can able to communicate with my client systems without any issues, or manager systems. One last test we are going to do for today, that is just we are going to edit this file and we'll add one dummy system which is not at all launched by us. So 172.31.38.100. So we don't have this system at all. If we have this system also, we haven't copied our keys onto that system. Okay, so we haven't copied our systems keys onto this system. If it is exist, anyway it is not exist. So whenever I connected to all the systems, it should fail. On this system it should fail, right? So let's execute our command one more time. Ansible all -m ping. You can see I can able to connect to these systems successfully, but this system unreachable because either you haven't copied the keys or the server itself is not exist. Whenever it comes as a unreachable, it means that server doesn't exist. I cannot able to connect to that system. Okay, so this is how you can able to test your connection once it is set up. All right, so that's all for today from my side. Now I'm open for questions. Okay, so I'm going to give the basic concept of how the passwordless authentication does work. So in Ansible, what we are going to do is we are just going to use the passwordless authentication, the feature which is given at the operating system level. So let me open the paint. So usually what will happen in the real world, sometimes we want to log into our target systems without password, because every time a user cannot able to log in, right? Sometimes applications want to log in. Whenever applications want to log in, they cannot enter the password. They just need some mechanism where they can just directly go and speak with the target system and complete their activity. So to achieve these kind of problems, industry come up with a concept called passwordless authentication. So the passwordless authentication will work in this way. So okay, now this system want to communicate with this system. We have two options, that is either you can use the password or else either you can use the key based. Even if we take an example, our AWS server also we are logging with the key. Why? Because whenever we launch AWS server, what do? They generate the public and private key. So they give the private key to us. Okay, whatever you are downloading is a private key, and public key they are going to keep it in the server which you launched. They are keeping on the server which you launched. And where do they keep? By default they create a user called ec2 minus user. Under ec2 minus user dot ssh authorized keys. So this public key, they need to keep it under the authorized keys. Then only you can able to log in. So now while logging onto your AWS EC2 instance, you are loading your private key and logging onto EC2 minus user. Whenever you do that one, this private key is going to match with the public key. This private key is going to match with the public key, and then it is authenticate you to log into the system. Assume that you have two different public private keys, and if you use one private key to authenticate with the another public key, it doesn't work. The public key and private key should match. It's something like this. You have a lock and key. You have a lock and key, and you manufactured same type of locks which can work with the same key. So you will have a key and you have the lock, and you can use the same key even though you use for the different locks. That's how the private key does work. So private key is a key and public key is a lock. Wherever you use this public key, assume that 10 systems are there. In 10 systems authorized file, if you keep your public key, you can use the same private key to connect it to the those 10 systems. Okay. Now assume that 10 systems want to communicate with the one system. Okay, I have 10 systems over here, but these 10 systems want to communicate with the one system without any password. In that case, what do we do? In these 10 systems, we will take the public key from the each system and we will update in authorized keys. We will amend the 10 keys. So now what you can do, either from the server 1 or server 2, server 3 or server 10. If you want to connect to the target system, you can able to connect to the private, sorry, with your key, and while connecting with the public and private key, it won't ask for the password. Now next thing is, in our windows, while connecting to the system, we are loading our key pair. Okay, but here if you see, I just connected to the target system. Okay, anyway, I'm going to connect it hosts. So SSH, I'm just connecting to this system without any key or without any user. Then what does it do whenever you execute this one? By default, SSH is going to check his home directory, under his home directory, whether .ssh directory is there or not. If .ssh directory is there, whether private key is there or not. If private key is there, that private key it will take and it will try to establish a connection with this one. Okay, establish a connection with this one, and with this one, on which account it is going to establish, it's assume that even ANS admin user there in the target system as well, and he has the public key. That is the assumption it is going to do. So now you can see here it could able to connect it. Okay, but if you have assume that you have the ANS admin user key, but in the target system you have copied into some other user account. Okay, rather than in the target system. Okay, okay, before executing that one, same command, this command we can execute in other way as well. So this is another way. So this also is going to allow you. What this command is do, I'm doing SSH by using this user public key and target system ANS admin user, and this is the target system. And other way is one last thing, that is SSH minus I dot SSH ID. Sorry, I'm not in the home directory of user, right? So I will go here. So SSH minus I dot SSH. In the current location, we have dot SSH, right? ID RSA and ANS admin at this server name. So what does it mean? So this is actually going to do even though you execute this one. Okay, if you don't use this value minus I value, by default it will go to this user home directory and fetch this path, but detailedly it is going to execute something like that. I am doing SSH. While doing SSH, use the SSH authorized, sorry, private key which is there in the current location, and on target system use the ANS admin user and with this IP address, so you can able to, why it is asking for password? Yes,
Shankar,
we
it
have.
is ANS admin at the rate
Yeah,
IP, right?
sorry. True. Yeah. Okay, ANS admin. So ANS admin and the IP address. Okay, now you can able to log in. So to make better understanding, I just exited. What we will do, we will copy our public key onto the target system, not into ANS admin user. We are going to copy it into the EC2 minus user. Then you will understand clearly. Okay, so just I will open the .ssh idrsa.pub. So I'm just copying it into RHL server. This is RHL server. I'm under Ansible user. So let me exit. I'm in EC2 minus user now. Okay. So cd go to .ssh. Here we have authorized keys. But before executing, let's try it before we are setting up the keys. So ssh and IP address, right? I want to log into EC2 minus user. So EC2 minus user at, you can see here, I'm trying to log into EC2 minus user, but there is no this user private key, sorry, public key. That is the reason it is prompting for the password. And if I do just ssh I dot ssh idrsa, still it could not able to authenticate with this one, and it throws an error. Okay, not error, it prompting for the password. Now let me copy the keys .ssh idrsa.pub. This is public key, and I'm updating in the authorized keys on the target system. So shift G O, I'm just copying into EC2 minus user account, and don't make sure that you're not adding any special character, otherwise it won't work. Now let's execute. Whenever I execute this one, first what I will do, in our local system we have public key, right? Sorry, private key, right? So it will try to check the private key and the remote system public key. If it is matching, it automatically logs in. If it is not matching, it prompt for the password. Now you can see here, I have logged into target system as a EC2 minus user, not the ANS admin user. Okay, because I have specified to onto target system log into this user, and on this user I have already updated my public key. So my private key can able to authenticate with the public key and could able to log in. Is it clear? Still confusing?
Which private key will use? I mean, on the target, right?
See, private key ANS admin user. As a which user you are executing this command? Currently, I'm a ANS admin user, right? Who am I if I give? I'm a ANS admin user. So ANS admin user private key it is going to use, and ANS admin user public key is also available in the EC2 minus user account, right? Here, if I go, here you can see here, this is the public key of the ANS admin user, public key of the ANS admin user. And here I'm executing command as a ANS admin user, and even though I execute this command, how it is executes in the background, it executes something like that, -i dot ssh idrsa. This is private key, right? So like this it is going to execute it. So this is what I can say. By default it takes this path if you are executing as a this user. Same thing, you can log in and exit.